When 17-year-old Noah broke open his dead grandfather's hidden lockbox, he expected old war medals. What he found instead made the CIA show up at midnight with a threat that could destroy his life. His grandfather wasn't just a veteran. He was part of a mission so secret the government erased it from history. And now someone wants the truth out. But the truth, it could cost Noah everything.
Noah's truck rattled down the gravel driveway, kicking up clouds of red Kansas dust that hung in the August heat like smoke. He hadn't been back to the farm since the funeral. 3 months. 3 months since they'd lowered Grandpa Henry into the ground with a folded flag and a rifle salute that felt too small for a man who'd lived 78 years. The farmhouse stood ahead, white paint peeling like sunburned skin, shutters hanging crooked. The barn leaned to one side like it might collapse if you looked at it wrong. Noah killed the engine and sat there, hands gripping the steering wheel. 17 years old and somehow responsible for cleaning out a dead man's life. His mom couldn't do it. She'd cried for 2 weeks straight after the funeral, then just stopped talking about Grandpa altogether. His dad worked oil rigs in Texas and hadn't even come home for the service. So it fell to Noah. It always did. He grabbed his backpack from the passenger seat and stepped out into the heat. Cicadas screamed from the trees. The screen door of the farmhouse hung open, banging softly against the frame in the breeze. Noah walked past it toward the barn instead. That's where Grandpa had spent most of his time anyway, tinkering with tractors that never ran, organizing tools he never used, sitting in that old lawn chair with a beer and his silence. The barn door groaned when Noah pulled it open. Sunlight sliced through gaps in the wood, illuminating particles of dust that danced in the stale air. It smelled like motor oil and rotting hay and something else, something he couldn't name. Memories, maybe. He stepped inside, letting his eyes adjust to the dimness. Workbenches lined the walls, covered in rusted wrenches and coffee cans full of nails. A vintage John Deere tractor sat in the corner, tires flat and deflated like lungs that had given up breathing. Noah pulled out his phone and turned on the flashlight. He started with the workbenches, sorting through junk, taking photos of anything that might be worth selling. A vintage Coca-Cola sign, some old license plates from the 50s, nothing special. He worked for 2 hours, sweating through his shirt, wondering why Grandpa had kept so much garbage. Then he noticed something. One of the floorboards near the back wall sat higher than the others, like it had been pried up and replaced carelessly. He knelt down and wedged his fingers into the gap. The board came up easily, revealing a hollow space beneath. His flashlight beam caught something metal. A box, rusted at the corners about the size of a shoebox, with a combination lock that had long since seized. Noah's heart thumped harder. He pulled it out, feeling the weight of it. Heavy. Something substantial inside. He carried it to the workbench and found a crowbar. The lock broke on the second hit, metal shrieking as it gave way. Noah flipped the lid open. Inside was a folded piece of dark fabric. He lifted it out carefully. A patch. Black background, gold threading, forming a shield with crossed rifles behind it. Words stitched across the top. Operation Iron Veil. Below the shield, smaller text, Civis Possum Parabellum. Noah stared at it. He had never seen anything like it. Grandpa had been Army, he knew that much. Infantry in the Gulf War, came home in 92 or 93, never talked about it. But this patch looked different, unofficial, like something from a movie. He dug deeper into the box. Photographs, yellowed and curled at the edges. Men in desert fatigues, faces hard and dust-covered, holding rifles Noah recognized from video games. One photo showed Grandpa, maybe 40 years younger, leaner, meaner, squinting into a sun Noah had never seen. Another photo showed a group of people, civilians maybe, being loaded onto a helicopter. Their faces were desperate, grateful. He flipped it over. Handwritten on the back, Mogadishu Extraction, November 1993. Never forget. Mogadishu, Somalia. Noah's history teacher had covered it briefly, Black Hawk Down. But that was October 1993. This said November. He kept digging. Papers, heavily redacted with thick black lines covering most of the text. What he could read made no sense. Mission parameters, extraction coordinates, code names. Operation Iron Veil appeared multiple times, and at the bottom of one document, stamped in red, disavowed.
Noah pulled out his phone and Googled Operation Iron Veil. Nothing. He tried different combinations. Iron Veil, Somalia, 1993. Disavowed military operations, Somalia. Nothing but general history about Black Hawk Down and the withdrawal. He tried Si vis pacem para bellum. Latin, if you want peace, prepare for war. A common military motto, sure, but why this specific patch? Why hidden under floorboards? He sat there for an hour, scrolling through forums, military history sites, declassified document databases. Nothing. Operation Iron Veil didn't exist. At least, not officially. His hands shook as he photographed everything, uploading the images to his cloud storage. Something told him to document this. Something felt wrong. The sun was setting when Noah finally left the barn, carrying the box with him to the farmhouse. He'd sleep here tonight, go through the rest tomorrow. The house felt colder than it should in August. He made a sandwich from supplies he had brought, ate it standing at the kitchen sink, looking out at the barn's silhouette against the darkening sky. Grandpa's reading glasses still sat on the table, his coffee mug in the dish rack, like he'd just stepped out for a moment. Noah showered in the rusty water, changed into clean clothes, and lay on the couch with his phone, researching late into the night. Around 11, he dozed off with the box on the coffee table beside him. He dreamed of helicopters and desert sand, and his grandfather's young face staring into a camera with eyes that had seen something terrible. The knock came at midnight. 3 sharp raps on the front door that jolted Noah awake. His heart hammered. He grabbed his phone. No service, he realized. The farmhouse never had good reception. Another knock, harder this time. Noah crept to the window and peered through the dusty curtain. A black SUV sat in the driveway. Government plates, tinted windows. He hadn't heard it arrive. Noah Walker? A man's voice, calm and professional. I need to speak with you about something you found today. Noah's blood turned to ice. How did they know? How did they know his name? How did they even know he was here? Noah, I'm Agent Lewis with the Central Intelligence Agency. I have identification. I just need to talk to you about your grandfather's belongings. The voice paused. I know you found the box. I know you have the patch. And I need you to open this door right now, son, because what you're holding is classified government property, and you've already committed a federal crime by possessing it. Noah backed away from the door, his breath coming in short gasps. The box sat on the coffee table, innocent and deadly all at once. His grandfather's secret, a secret someone had been watching for, a secret someone wanted back. Noah? Agent Lewis's voice hardened. Open the door. We can do this easy, or we can do this the hard way. But either way, I'm coming in.
If you're on the edge of your seat right now, imagine what happens next. Hit that like button if this story has you hooked, and subscribe so you never miss another jaw-dropping veteran story like this. Trust me, you don't want to miss what Noah discovers next. Now let's get back to the story.
Noah's fingers trembled as he grabbed the box and shoved it under the couch cushions. Stupid hiding place, but his brain wasn't working right. His phone was useless. No signal, no way to call for help. The knock came again, louder, more insistent. "I'm counting to 10, Noah. Then I'm coming in." Agent Lewis's voice had lost all pretense of friendliness. 1, 2, 3. Noah moved to the door on shaky legs. What choice did he have? He was 17, alone on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and the CIA was on his porch. He unlocked the deadbolt and opened the door 6 inches, keeping the chain latched. The man standing there looked exactly like Noah expected. Mid-40s, gray suit despite the heat, clean-shaven face with eyes that calculated everything. He held up a badge and identification card with his photo and the CIA seal in Boston gold. Special Agent Marcus Lewis. "Thank you, Noah. May I come in?" Lewis didn't wait for an answer. He pushed gently but firmly against the door. The chain snapped like it was made of paper. Noah stumbled backward as Lewis stepped inside, followed by a second agent, a woman with dark hair pulled tight into a bun. She closed the door behind them and stood in front of it, arms crossed. "Sit down," Lewis said, gesturing to the couch. It wasn't a request. Noah sat. Lewis remained standing, looking around the shabby living room with an expression that said he'd seen 1,000 places exactly like this. His eyes landed on the coffee table, on the empty space where the box had been an hour ago. He smiled slightly. "Where is it?" "Where's what?" Noah's voice cracked. He sounded like a child and hated himself for it. "Don't play games. You found a lockbox in the barn today. You opened it. You saw things you weren't supposed to see. Where is it now?" Lewis moved closer, his shoes clicking on the hardwood floor. "We have the barn under satellite surveillance, Noah. We saw you go in. We saw you come out carrying something. We know you brought it here." Noah's stomach dropped. Satellite surveillance. They've been watching Grandpa's farm. Maybe for years. Maybe since he died. "I don't understand what's happening." "That box contains classified materials related to a military operation that never officially occurred. Your grandfather was involved in something that the United States government cannot and will not acknowledge. By opening that box, by looking at those documents, you violated the Espionage Act. Do you understand what that means? Federal prison, decades, your whole life, gone." Tears burned in Noah's eyes. He fought them back. "My grandpa was a soldier. He served his country. Why would you hide what he did?" "Because sometimes service requires silence." Lewis stood and walked to the window, looking out at the darkness. Operation Iron Veil was a hostage rescue mission in Mogadishu, Somalia, November 1993. 23 aid workers, 8 of them American, had been taken by a warlord militia after the Black Hawk Down incident. The world was watching. The U.S. had just lost 18 soldiers. We were pulling out. But those hostages, they'd be tortured, killed, used for propaganda. Someone had to go get them. Noah listened, his heart pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. Lewis continued, his voice flat and emotionless, like he was reading from a script he'd memorized years ago. "Your grandfather was part of a 6-man unit, off the books, no official orders, no paper trail. They went in during a sandstorm, hit the compound where the hostages were held, and extracted all 23. Not a single hostage casualty, but 2 of the 6 operators died in the extraction. The mission succeeded, but if the world knew we'd sent troops back in after publicly announcing withdrawal, the international backlash would have been catastrophic. So, it never happened. Those 2 dead operators never existed.
Your grandfather and the 3 others who survived signed agreements, NDAs that would bury them if they ever spoke. He never did, Noah whispered. He never said anything. Not once. No, Henry Walker kept his word for 32 years. He took that secret to his grave like he was supposed to. Lewis turned from the window, and for the first time, Noah saw something like respect in his eyes. He was a good man, a patriot, one of the best operators I ever worked with. The words hit Noah like a fist. You knew him? I was the CIA handler for Operation Iron Veil. I was 26 years old, fresh out of the Special Activities Center training program. Your grandfather saved my life during the extraction. I took a round in the shoulder, couldn't run. He carried me half a mile through gunfire to the exfil point. Lewis pulled back his suit jacket, revealing an old scar through his shirt. I owe him everything. Noah's mind reeled. This man, this agent threatening him with prison, had served with Grandpa? Had been saved by him? Then why are you here? Why are you doing this?
Because 3 weeks ago, someone leaked information about Iron Veil to a journalist. We don't know who, we don't know how, but suddenly, after 3 decades of perfect silence, someone is talking. And when your grandfather died and you started poking around his property, alarm bells went off. Lewis sat down on the chair across from Noah, leaning forward. We thought maybe Henry had kept records, maybe he was the leak. But looking at you, seeing what you found, I don't think he was. I think he kept that box as a reminder, a piece of himself he couldn't let go. Who are the other survivors? Noah asked. The 3 others who made it out. Lewis's face went hard. 2 are dead, one from cancer in 2003, another from a car accident in 2015. That leaves 1, and we can't find him. He disappeared 2 months ago. We think he's the leak. We think he's planning to go public. The female agent at the door shifted, checking her phone. She looked at Lewis and nodded once. Lewis stood abruptly. We need that box, Noah. Everything in it. The patch, the photos, the documents. All of it. This isn't negotiable. Noah reached under the couch cushion and pulled out the box. His hand shook as he held it. What happens to me? Nothing. You forget this ever happened. You forget what I told you. You go home, finish high school, live your life. But if you ever speak about this, if you ever try to find information about Operation Iron Veil, if you even think about going to the media, you'll disappear into a legal black hole so deep no one will ever find you. Lewis took the box, handling it like it was sacred. Do we have an understanding? Noah nodded, unable to speak. Lewis turned to leave, but Noah's voice stopped him. Wait, why did they disavow it? Why not just tell the truth? My grandpa saved 23 people. He was a hero. Why does he have to be erased? Lewis looked back, and for a moment, the professional mask slipped. He looked tired, ancient. Because the world doesn't work on truth, son. It works on narratives, and sometimes the narrative matters more than the people who died for it. He paused at the door. Your grandfather understood that. He made peace with it. You should too. They left. The black SUV disappeared down the gravel road, taillights fading into nothing. Noah sat alone in the silent farmhouse, feeling like he'd aged 10 years in one night. He thought about Grandpa, about the secret he carried, about the weight of silence and service and sacrifice, about being a hero no one would ever know about. He stood and walked to Grandpa's bedroom, opening the closet. On the top shelf, dusty and forgotten, sat Grandpa's dress uniform from the funeral. He pulled it down and looked at the ribbons and medals, a bronze star, a purple heart, combat infantry badge, all for official service, official wars, official recognition. Nothing for the mission that mattered most. Nothing for the 23 lives saved in a sandstorm in Mogadishu while the world looked away. Noah's phone buzzed. Signal had returned. A text from his mom. How's it going at the farm? Find anything interesting? He stared at the message for a long time. Then he typed, Nothing important. Just old tools and memories. I'll be home tomorrow. He hit send and lay down on Grandpa's bed, staring at the ceiling. Sleep wouldn't come. His mind kept replaying Lewis's words, a story of Operation Iron Veil, the image of young Grandpa carrying a wounded CIA agent through a war zone. A hero, a ghost, a man erased by the very country he'd bled for. Then Noah's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Noah almost didn't open it. When he did, his blood froze. A photo. The same photo from the box, the hostages being loaded onto the helicopter in Mogadishu. But this one wasn't yellowed or faded. This was a high-resolution scan. And attached was a message. Your grandfather deserves to be remembered. They're lying to you. The fourth survivor is ready to talk. Meet me at the address below if you want the truth. You have 24 hours. Jackson Miller, Operation Iron Veil. Noah sat up, hands shaking. Jackson Miller, the missing operator, the leak, and he was reaching out, to him. Lewis had just left with the box, just threatened him with federal prison, just told him to forget everything, and now this, the fourth survivor, the truth. He stared at the address, a diner in Wichita, 3 hours away, tomorrow afternoon. His finger hovered over the delete button. The smart move, the safe move, forget it all, go home, live his life. But Grandpa's uniform lay across the chair, those ribbings and medals glinting in the dim light. Recognition for some things, silence for others. And Noah thought about what it meant to be 17 years old and know that heroes could be erased, that truth could be buried, that service sometimes meant being forgotten. He saved the address and lay back down, knowing he wouldn't sleep, knowing tomorrow he'd have to make a choice that would change everything. Outside, the Kansas wind howled through the empty farm, through the barn where secrets had waited for 32 years, through the memory of a man named Henry Walker, who'd carried the weight of silence until it buried him. And in the darkness, Noah whispered to his grandfather's ghost, "I'm sorry, but I need to know who you really were."
Noah's choice is made. But what would you do? Would you chase the truth or stay silent? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if this story gave you chills, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we've got more incredible veteran stories that'll blow your mind. Stories of heroes the world forgot. Stories that deserve to be heard. Don't miss the next one. Subscribe now.